Today we're going to add a watercolor wash background to each of our Gustav Klimt quilt pieces. You can use whatever colors you want to today for your background. So you can use a lot of colors, you can choose just a few colors and create a certain color scheme. It is up to you. Now when we use our watercolors, you first need to get your paintbrush wet and put a little puddle of water into the one that you want to use. Then you're just going to kind of tickle that color gently until you get it to where it's ready to use. Now when you do a watercolor wash, you don't want the color to be dark. It needs to look pretty light. So I'm just gonna put that little bit of color on and then spread it out so that it covers the whole area with a light version of that color. If my brush starts to get dried out, I'm gonna get a little more water and a little more color. We want our colors to be light so that when we go back and do our marker patterns on top, you'll still be able to see the marker design. This is just going to give our picture a little extra color with it having a colorful background. If you accidentally wiggle your brush too hard in the color or too much, it's going to make your colors appear way too dark. So if it's a little bit too dark, what you want to do is clean your brush in the water, get some nice clear water, and then try to spread that color out more. And then next time, try not to wiggle it so much because we don't want to just be wasting all of our color in our water bucket by rinsing it off all the time. You really just need to dip the tip of your brush into the color just to get a little bit of a tiny amount. Now, when I go to do my next section, I'm actually going to try to pick an area to paint that's not next to one of the colors I just did. If I paint two wet puddles of color right next to each other and they bump into each other, my two colors are going to mix, and I probably don't want that to happen. I probably want each section to remain a different color. If you do need to paint colors that are really close together, I have a little trick for watercolor that you can use. Whenever you're doing your new color and you're getting close to another wet puddle, you want to leave the tiniest little amount of dry white paper in between your two colors. As long as the two puddles don't bump into each other, the colors can't mix. So leaving that little tiny bit of dry paper will keep my two puddles separate. So I'm just going to keep on going, painting each piece a different color and trying very hard to keep my colors from mixing and keeping my colors from being too dark. When you're done painting all of your quilt pieces, if you have extra time, you can do a little watercolor on your portraits too. Same thing, just make sure that you use a very light color so that it's not too dark. And these shapes are pretty small, so you're gonna have to really be careful that you are only using the very tip of your brush and not bumping into any other puddles close by, otherwise I might have some green mixing in with my face, and I definitely don't want that. So I am staying away from that green puddle. When I'm done painting my portraits and my entire quilt, I'm going to leave my paper to dry so that it will be ready to add some patterns next time. If you don't get all of your areas colored, that's okay. Some of your backgrounds can be white as well.